Welcome to Audiobooks. Immerse yourself in the world of stories, ideas, and knowledge, all through the power of audio.
Book title: Art of Seduction.
Chapter 1. The Magnetic Power of Seduction. Seduction. The word alone stirs something inside you, doesn't it? A mix of curiosity, intrigue, maybe even a touch of danger. Too often, people think of seduction only in the narrow frame of romance or physical attraction. But seduction is far bigger than that. It's the invisible force that can shape relationships, open doors, and create unforgettable impressions. Seduction is not about manipulation or deceit. It's about influence. It's about drawing people towards you without them feeling forced. True seduction is magnetic, not mechanical. It's an art of presence, psychology, and energy. And once you master it, you'll realize it applies everywhere, in love, in friendship, in business, and in life. Seduction through history. Since the dawn of civilization, seduction has played a role in shaping empires, forging alliances, and inspiring legends. Cleopatra didn't just conquer with her beauty, she seduced with her intelligence, her voice, and her ability to make men feel both powerful and powerless in her presence. Napoleon Bonaparte, despite his physical stature, had a charm that made people follow him to war. And in modern times, icons like Marilyn Monroe, James Dean, or even charismatic leaders and entrepreneurs, what they all share is not a script, but a presence that lingers in the mind long after they leave the room. What does this tell us? That seduction has little to do with surface-level qualities. It is not about being the most attractive, the richest, or the loudest. It's about becoming unforgettable. The magnetic pull. Think of someone you once met who left an impression on you. Maybe you couldn't explain why. They weren't the most beautiful person in the room, yet something about them drew your attention. Maybe it was the way they looked at you, fully present, as if you were the only person that mattered in that moment. Maybe it was their quiet confidence, or the rhythm in their voice. That is seduction in its purest form, making others feel something they can't ignore. At its heart, seduction is about energy. People are naturally drawn to those who make them feel alive. If you can awaken curiosity, if you can spark emotion, you create a gravitational pull that is hard to resist. Seduction is not just sexual. One of the biggest misconceptions is to confine seduction to the bedroom. But think about it. Haven't you been seduced by a speaker whose words pulled you in? Or a leader whose vision was so compelling you wanted to follow them? Or a brand that made you feel seen, understood, and desired? Seduction is everywhere. A teacher seduces the minds of students into curiosity. A salesperson seduces a customer into believing in the value of what they sell. A friend seduces another into trust and loyalty. Seduction is not limited to intimacy. It is the art of influence in its most human form. The 3 pillars of seduction. Every form of seduction, no matter the setting, rests on 3 timeless pillars: presence, mystery, and emotion. Presence is the ability to be fully there, to give undivided attention in a world where distraction is the norm. When someone feels truly seen by you, they feel something rare, and that rarity is magnetic. Mystery is the space between what you reveal and what you hold back. Desire is fueled by curiosity. If people feel like they already know everything about you, their interest fades. But if there's always a little more to uncover, they'll keep coming back for more. Emotion is the soul of seduction. People rarely remember facts or details, but they never forget how you made them feel. If you can stir emotion, whether it's excitement, laughter, or a sense of wonder, you leave a mark on their memory. Seduction versus manipulation. It's important to draw a line here. Seduction becomes destructive when it crosses into manipulation. Manipulation seeks to control, to deceive, to take without giving. Seduction, at its best, is a dance. It invites, it inspires, it awakens. Ethical seduction makes both people feel richer from the experience, not drained. This book will not teach you to trick or deceive. Instead, it will guide you to cultivate authentic qualities that naturally draw others in. Real seduction comes from not pretending to be something you're not, but from amplifying the most magnetic parts of who you already are. Why seduction matters. Why spend time learning the art of seduction? Because in every area of life, influence matters. You can be the smartest person in the room, but if no one listens to you, your ideas go unheard. You can be deeply talented, but if you can't spark interest, your talent remains hidden. Seduction is what opens doors. It's what makes people lean in when you speak, remember your presence, and seek more of you. Think of seduction as a form of personal power, not the kind that dominates others, but the kind that creates connection. In a noisy world, seduction is the skill of standing out without shouting, of drawing people close.
Chapter 2. The Psychology of Desire. Desire is a mysterious force. It doesn't always make sense. We crave things we know are bad for us. We fall for people who challenge us, excite us, or even confuse us. And sometimes we don't want what's good, safe, or logical. We want what moves us. If you want to master seduction, you must first understand desire. Not just what people say they want, but what they actually want deep inside. Because here's the truth. People don't desire reality. They desire feelings, fantasies, and possibilities. Seduction is the art of awakening those inner cravings. What people truly desire. At the core, human beings crave three things: attention, to feel seen, valued, and recognized; excitement, to break free from routine and feel alive; and validation, to be desired, admired, and wanted. Every act of seduction touches one of these cravings. When you give someone your full attention, when you inject surprise and play into their day, when you make them feel special, you awaken a hunger they didn't even realize they had. Think about it. Most people live predictable lives, going through routines, rarely feeling noticed. When someone comes along who can shake that pattern, even in a small way, it sparks desire. The role of curiosity. One of the strongest forces behind desire is curiosity. Humans are naturally drawn to the unknown. When we don't have all the answers, our minds can't help but lean in. That's why mystery is so powerful in seduction. Consider the difference between someone who lays out their entire life story on the first meeting and someone who reveals themselves slowly, layer by layer. Which one keeps you coming back? Desire thrives in the gap between what we know and what we don't know. This is why seduction is not about giving everything away. It's about creating an unfolding story. Every encounter should feel like the next chapter, pulling someone deeper into your presence. Scarcity and the forbidden fruit. Here's another truth about desire. We always want what feels scarce, limited, or forbidden. This is why luxury brands limit access to their products. It's why people chase relationships they can't easily have. Scarcity signals value. If you are always available, always easy, always predictable, desire fades. But if there's a sense of rarity around you, if people feel that your time, your attention, your energy is valuable, they will crave it more. This doesn't mean playing games or being fake. It means recognizing your own worth and not giving yourself away too cheaply.
Desire thrives on a little distance, a little challenge, a little taste of the forbidden. The emotional roller coaster. Desire is not a straight line. It's not built on constant comfort. In fact, comfort alone kills desire. What truly keeps people hooked is emotional contrast, the push and pull, the tension and release. Think about your favorite movies or novels. They don't hand you everything in the first scene. They build suspense, create tension, make you wait, and that waiting makes the reward sweeter. Seduction works the same way. When you create moments of excitement, followed by moments of calm, when you give and then pull back just a little, when you balance closeness with space, you keep the emotional current alive. Desire thrives on contrast, not consistency. The power of imagination. Perhaps the most overlooked truth about desire is this: people don't fall in love with reality. They fall in love with the version of reality they imagine. When someone desires you, they aren't just desiring you. They are desiring the way you make them feel, the fantasy you awaken in them, the possibilities they see in your presence. Seduction works when you leave room for imagination. When your words, your looks, your actions spark their mind to fill in the blanks. When they begin to imagine what could be, what might happen, what it would feel like to have more of you, that's when desire becomes unstoppable. Why chasing kills desire. Here's a paradox you must understand. The harder you chase someone, the less they desire you. Why? Because desire is not built on pressure, it's built on pull. When you chase, you place yourself in a position of need. You become predictable, obvious, and easy. The other person doesn't have to imagine anything, because you've already given it all away. But when you create space, when you show that you are already complete with or without them, when you let them come to you, that's when their desire grows, because now they're the ones chasing the feeling you spark inside them. The seductive mindset. So how do you apply this knowledge? By shifting how you see desire. Instead of trying to impress, persuade, or convince, focus on awakening curiosity, scarcity, and imagination. Be present so people feel deeply seen. Be a little mysterious so people want to know more. Chapter 3. First Impressions That Captivate. They say you never get a second chance to make a first impression. And in seduction, that couldn't be more true. The moment someone lays eyes on you, before you've even spoken a word, they've already made a decision about you. Their subconscious is scanning. Are you confident or uncertain? Are you magnetic or forgettable? Do you spark interest or blend into the background? That first impression is the foundation of seduction. If you can capture someone's attention instantly, the rest of the interaction becomes smoother, easier, almost effortless. But if you lose them in those first few moments, winning them back is 10 times harder. The silent language of attraction. Here's the truth. Your words matter far less than your presence. Before you say anything, your body has already spoken. Your posture, your eye contact, your energy, these are the first signals people receive, and they decide almost instantly whether they want to keep engaging with you. Think about someone who enters a room with their shoulders slouched, their eyes darting, their energy low. Now think of someone who enters with relaxed confidence, who moves with intention, whose gaze is steady but warm. Who do you notice? Who do you remember? This is the first key to seduction. Before you speak, you must learn to radiate. Chapter 4. The Charmer's Toolkit. Charm. It's one of those qualities that's hard to define but impossible to ignore. When someone has it, you feel it instantly.
They walk into a room and people lean in. They speak and others listen. They make you feel at ease, and at the same time, they make you want more of their presence. Charm is not about being fake, rehearsed, or manipulative. It's not about having the perfect line or memorizing scripts. True charm is about making people feel special. So special, in fact, that they connect the good feelings they experience directly to you. In this chapter, we'll build your Charmer's Toolkit, a set of powerful skills and techniques you can use to create instant connection, spark desire, and leave a lasting impression. 1. The art of active listening. One of the most seductive things you can do has nothing to do with talking, it's listening. Not the shallow, distracted listening most people offer, but deep, active listening. When you listen actively, you give someone the gift of feeling truly heard. You don't just wait for your turn to speak. You respond with curiosity, with presence, with attention. You notice the small details, the way their tone shifts, the words they emphasize, the emotions behind the sentences. Here's the secret. When someone feels listened to, they automatically feel more connected to you. Because most of the world is too busy talking about themselves. Be the rare person who listens, and you'll become unforgettable. 2. Playful humor. Charm is inseparable from play. Humor breaks down barriers, it disarms tension, it creates an instant bond. But seductive humor is not about telling jokes, it's about lightness. It's about playful teasing that makes someone smile without hurting them. It's about finding humor in the moment, in the shared experience between you. A simple, playful comment, a clever twist, or even a warm smile at the right time, these things make you magnetic. Because when people laugh with you, they relax, and when they relax, desire has space to grow. Storytelling magic. We are wired for stories. Since ancient times, humans have been captivated by narratives. A good story pulls us in, makes us feel, makes us imagine. And a seductive storyteller has a unique power, the power to take someone on a journey without them moving an inch. Your stories don't need to be grand or dramatic. They just need to be told well. Add rhythm, add pauses, add details that paint pictures in the listener's mind. And most importantly, leave room for curiosity. Don't explain everything. Let their imagination do some of the work. A well-told story is one of the most powerful tools in your seduction arsenal, because when people get lost in your words, they are already halfway seduced. The compliment with a twist. Everyone likes compliments, but ordinary compliments don't seduce. You're beautiful. You're handsome. I like your smile. These are nice, but they're predictable. A true charmer gives compliments that are specific, unexpected, and layered. Instead of praising what everyone sees, notice what others overlook. Compliment the subtle, the way someone expresses themselves, the spark in their laugh, the energy they bring into a room. And sometimes add a playful twist. For example, you have a dangerous smile. It makes people trust you too quickly. Or, you seem calm, but I can tell there's mischief behind those eyes. Compliments like these seduce because they don't just flatter, they intrigue. They make someone wonder, what else do they see in me that others don't? The power of suggestion. Charm often lies in what is implied rather than what is said outright. Suggestion plants seeds in the mind, letting the other person's imagination fill in the blanks. Instead of declaring everything, hint at it. Instead of being direct, be suggestive. For example, if you knew what I was thinking right now, you'd probably blush. Or, this story has a part I'll only tell you if we meet again. Notice how these phrases invite curiosity. They leave the listener leaning in, wanting more. That's seduction in action.
The charismatic body language. Charm is not just words, it's how you move, how you hold yourself, how you use silence. Lean in slightly when someone speaks, then pull back just enough to create space. Use pauses in your speech, letting silence do the work of tension. Gesture with your hands in a way that feels fluid, not frantic. And above all, smile. Not constantly, not forced, but naturally. A slow, knowing smile has more seductive power than 1,000 words. Making people feel special. At the heart of charm is this principle. People remember not what you said, but how you made them feel. If you can make someone feel seen, valued, and unique, they will associate that feeling with you. Remember little details. Use their name in conversation. Show genuine curiosity about their passions, their dreams, their quirks. Ask questions no one else asks. Treat them as if in that moment they are the most important person in the room. When you do this, you create an emotional bond that lingers long after you've gone, and that bond is the essence of seduction. The charmer's formula. So here's your toolkit. Listen deeply. Playfully tease. Tell stories that spark imagination. Chapter 5. Mystery, the ultimate seductive weapon. If confidence is the spark of attraction, then mystery is the flame that keeps it burning. Think about the people who linger in your memory. They weren't the ones who gave everything away too soon. They were the ones who left you wondering. The ones who revealed just enough to intrigue you, but not enough to satisfy you. The ones who made you crave the next chapter of their story. Mystery is the heartbeat of seduction. Without it, desire dies. With it, even ordinary encounters become unforgettable. Why humans crave mystery? Human beings are wired to seek the unknown. Curiosity is built into our psychology. When something is hidden, when a question is unanswered, when a story is incomplete, we lean in. Our minds demand closure. Seduction thrives on this principle. When you are too obvious, too available, too predictable, you kill curiosity. But when you hold something back, when you leave space for imagination, you create the perfect conditions for desire. Mystery isn't about deception. It's about pacing. It's about unfolding yourself layer by layer instead of all at once. Chapter 6. The Dance of Tension and Release. Seduction is not a straight line. It is not a sprint from introduction to intimacy. It is a dance, a back-and-forth rhythm, a balance of closeness and distance, of giving and withholding, of tension and release. This dance is what makes seduction so powerful, because human beings crave contrast. Too much certainty and interest fades. Too much comfort and desire dies. But when you create suspense, when you build tension and then release it, you create a cycle of craving that people cannot resist. Why tension matters. Tension is the heartbeat of desire. Think about music. A song without rhythm, without pauses, without crescendos, is flat and forgettable. But a song with build-up, suspense, and release, that's the music that moves you. Seduction works the same way. If you are too predictable, too available, too easy, the energy dies quickly. But if you can build moments of tension, through silence, through teasing, through delayed gratification, you keep people hooked. Tension awakens the imagination. It makes people wonder, what will happen next? And that wondering is where seduction lives. A push and pull of desire. One of the most powerful techniques in seduction is push and pull. It's the art of giving a taste, then pulling back, creating closeness, then creating space. You give attention, then shift it away. You lean in, then pull back. You compliment, then tease. This rhythm makes people crave more because their emotions are constantly in motion. The push creates tension. The pull creates release. Together, they create desire. Think of it like a magnet. Too much push, and you repel. Too much pull, and nothing sticks. But the right balance? That's attraction. The power of anticipation. Desire is strongest not in the moment of fulfillment, but in the moments leading up to it. The waiting, the wondering, the almost. That's where desire is at its peak. Seduction thrives on anticipation. When you make someone wait, not out of cruelty, but out of rhythm, you intensify the experience. Whether it's a delayed answer, a pause before a kiss, or a story that unfolds slowly, anticipation makes the eventual release feel unforgettable. Remember, if you give everything instantly, you rob the moment of its power. But if you let desire build, you make the eventual release 10 times more powerful. The seductive use of silence. Silence is one of the most underrated tools in seduction. Most people rush to fill silence with words, but silence, used intentionally, builds tension. Imagine holding eye contact without speaking. Imagine pausing before delivering a line. Imagine letting someone sit with their curiosity instead of explaining everything immediately. That space, that silence creates tension. And when you finally speak, when you finally act, the release is all the more satisfying. Teasing and play. Playfulness is another form of tension. A good tease flirts with the line without crossing it. It creates a sense of closeness, then pulls it back just enough to keep the game alive. A playful challenge, a mischievous remark, a compliment that hides a tease inside it. These little sparks create tension because they keep people slightly off balance. They wonder, are they serious? Are they joking? What do they really mean? That uncertainty is delicious. It fuels desire. Physical tension. Seduction is not only verbal, it's physical. The way you use space, touch, and body language creates tension as well. Standing close enough to feel energy, but not touching. Brushing past someone lightly, then pulling away. Holding eye contact just a little too long, then breaking it with a smile. These moments of almost, but not quite, create irresistible tension, because the body remembers what the mind can't explain. Release, the sweet reward. Tension without release becomes frustration. Seduction is about balance. After building suspense, you must eventually release it, through laughter, through a compliment, through a moment of intimacy. The release should feel earned. It should feel like the answer to a question, the climax of a story, the resolution of suspense. And when you give it, you create satisfaction that ties the other person's emotions to you. But here's the secret. Never release everything at once. Always leave something for later, because the cycle must continue. Tension, release, tension again. That's how desire stays alive. The dangers of imbalance. Too much tension without release becomes exhausting. Too much release without tension becomes boring. The dance must be balanced. If you're cold and distant all the time, people lose interest. If you're warm and giving all the time, people take you for granted. But if you balance both, giving just enough withholding just enough. You create an emotional roller coaster people don't want to get off of. Practical ways to create the dance. Slow down. Don't rush conversations or encounters. Let them breathe. Pause. Use silence to build suspense before speaking. Tease. Chapter 7. Emotional Seduction. Seduction is often mistaken for surface-level attraction, looks, charm, clever words. But the deepest, most irresistible form of seduction doesn't happen on the skin or in the mind. It happens in the heart. If physical allure draws someone in and mystery keeps them curious, emotional seduction is what makes them stay. It's the art of making someone feel understood, valued, and connected to you in ways they don't experience with anyone else. When you master emotional seduction, you don't just spark interest, you create attachment. The human need to be seen. Every person carries a secret hunger, the desire to be truly seen and understood. Most people go through life unseen, talking, but not truly heard, smiling, but hiding their real feelings. When you can see beyond the mask someone wears, when you make them feel that their emotions matter, you create a bond that no superficial attraction can compete with. This is why emotional seduction is so powerful. You're not just appealing to the senses, you're touching the soul. The seductive power of listening. Listening is one of the underrated seduction skills. Not the kind of listening where you wait for your turn to talk, but the kind where you make someone feel that every word they say matters. You hold eye contact. You don't interrupt. You don't rush to give advice. You reflect their emotions back to them. This kind of listening creates intimacy, because in that moment, the person feels safe. They feel special. They feel like they can drop their guard, and that vulnerability opens the door to emotional connection. Mirroring emotions. Seduction is not about manipulation. It's about resonance. One way to create resonance is through emotional mirroring. If someone is excited, you share their excitement. If they're frustrated, you acknowledge their frustration. If they're dreaming, you dream with them. Mirroring emotions doesn't mean pretending. It means tuning in to the other person's emotional frequency and reflecting it back in a way that makes them feel understood. And when people feel understood, they feel drawn to you, sometimes without even knowing why. The subtle art of validation. Validation is another powerful tool. Everyone wants to feel that their feelings are legitimate, that they make sense. Too often, people are dismissed, told to calm down, to get over it, to toughen up. But when you validate someone, when you say, "I understand why you feel that way," you create emotional closeness. Validation doesn't mean you always agree. It means you acknowledge. It means you respect their emotions enough to give them space. And that respect is seductive because it's rare. Emotional anchoring. One of the deepest aspects of emotional seduction is anchoring emotions to you. When people experience powerful emotions in your presence, joy, laughter, inspiration, even comfort and sadness, they subconsciously link those feelings to you. This is why shared experiences are so powerful. A night of laughter, a deep conversation under the stars, a moment of comfort during a hard time. You become the person they associate with those feelings, and that emotional anchor keeps pulling them back to you. The role of vulnerability. Vulnerability is often misunderstood as weakness. In reality, it's one of the strongest seduction tools you have when used wisely. By revealing small pieces of your authentic self, your dreams, your struggles, your lessons, you invite the other person to do the same. Vulnerability builds trust, and trust is the foundation of emotional connection. But the key is balance. Oversharing too soon can feel heavy. The art lies in revealing just enough to invite closeness while keeping mystery alive. Creating emotional contrast. Just as physical seduction thrives on tension and release, emotional seduction thrives on contrast. You can create emotional highs and lows that keep someone engaged. Lighthearted laughter, followed by a sincere, quiet moment. A playful tease, followed by a genuine compliment. Adventure and spontaneity, balanced with calm, comforting presence. This emotional variety prevents the connection from going flat. It keeps things alive, layered, and addictive. The danger of emotional neglect. The opposite of emotional seduction is emotional neglect, when you fail to notice or value someone's feelings. Nothing kills attraction faster than indifference. If you ignore someone's emotional world, if you dismiss their feelings, if you make them feel unseen, you break the spell of seduction. True seduction is not selfish. It's not just about what you want. It's about creating an experience that both of you feel deeply. Practical ways to seduce emotionally. Ask meaningful questions. Go beyond small talk. Explore dreams, fears, passions. Listen deeply. Make the other person feel that their words matter. Validate feelings. Acknowledge emotions without judgment. Create shared experiences. Build memories tied to strong emotions. Reveal your humanity. Share glimpses of your real self to invite trust. Balance play and depth. Give both lightness and seriousness. Becoming an emotional seducer. When you master emotional seduction, you become unforgettable. Because you're not just appealing to the surface, you're speaking to the deepest part of a person. You're not just another interaction in their day. Chapter 8. Seduction through Storytelling. Words can seduce. Not just the words you say in the moment, but the stories you tell, the way you draw someone into a world of your own creation. Stories bypass the defenses of the mind. They slip under logic, into imagination. They make people feel, and when people feel, they connect. Mastering the art of storytelling is mastering one of the most subtle yet powerful tools of seduction. Why stories seduce? Facts inform, but stories transform. A fact appeals to the mind. A story appeals to the heart. When you tell a story, you're not just sharing information, you're creating an experience. You invite the listener to step into your shoes, to see the world through your eyes. Suddenly, they are not just hearing about you, they are living with you, feeling with you. And that immersion is deeply seductive because it creates intimacy without force. Stories create imagination. Seduction thrives on imagination, and nothing activates imagination more than a well-told story. A simple detail, the smell of rain, the sound of laughter, the tension of a moment, can spark vivid images in the mind of your listener. Their brain fills in the gaps, making the story their own. And once someone is imagining with you, they're already emotionally invested. They're not just listening, they're dreaming. The types of seductive stories. Not every story is seductive. The most powerful ones carry certain elements. Adventurous stories, tales of risk, travel, or bold decisions spark excitement. Playful stories, light, funny anecdotes show charm and ease. Vulnerable stories, moments of honesty or struggle build intimacy. Dream-infused stories, visions of the future awaken hope and possibility. Romantic or mysterious stories, tales with tension, suspense, or allure, keep curiosity alive. Each type serves a purpose. The key is to choose stories that reveal layers of who you are without giving everything away. Pacing the story. Just like seduction itself, a good story has a rhythm, a slow build, a moment of suspense, a release. If you rush through, the magic is lost. If you drag it out, the listener gets bored. But if you pace it just right, giving enough detail to paint the scene, leaving enough space for imagination, you create a seductive rhythm that mirrors the dance of attraction. Storytelling as a mirror. The most seductive stories are not just about you, they reflect back onto the listener. When you tell a story, weave in emotions that your listener can relate to: curiosity, excitement, fear, desire. The more they see themselves in your story, the stronger the bond becomes. It's not about impressing with your experiences, it's about making your listener feel through your words. The mystery inside a story. Mystery isn't only about silence, it lives inside stories too. The best storytellers don't reveal everything at once. They hint, they build suspense, they leave questions hanging. A half-told story can be more seductive than a complete one, because it makes the listener lean in. It makes them want to know more. Seductive storytelling is not about closing loops, it's about opening them. Seduction through fantasy. Another layer of storytelling is fantasy. Not fantasy as in fiction or lies, but in painting a picture of possibilities. You can tell stories of what could be, a trip you want to take, an experience you imagine, a vision of a future moment. When you share a fantasy, you invite the listener into it. You plant the seed that they could be part of your world, your adventure, your future. And that possibility is magnetic. The danger of overtelling. There is one trap in storytelling: making it all about you. If your stories are too self-centered, they stop being seductive and start being self-indulgent. The secret is balance. A story should reveal enough of you to intrigue, but leave enough space for your listener to feel included. The best stories don't just talk at someone, they pull someone in. Practical ways to use storytelling in seduction. Share short, vivid anecdotes instead of long lectures. Use sensory details, sights, sounds, feelings to make stories alive. Leave a thread hanging, end on a note that keeps curiosity alive. Turn the story back to them. Have you ever felt that way? Mix playfulness, vulnerability, and adventure for variety. Becoming a storyteller. You don't need to invent wild tales to be a seductive storyteller. The most ordinary experiences can become enchanting when told with passion, rhythm, and imagination. What matters is not the story itself, but the way you tell it. The pauses, the details, the emotion in your voice, the energy you bring. Every person carries a library of stories within them. To be seductive is to know how to open that library slowly, one story at a time, leaving your listener eager for the next chapter. The lasting spell of stories. Chapter 9. The Power of Presence. In a world full of distractions, true presence is rare. Most people live half-absent, scanning their phones, lost in their thoughts, rushing to the next moment. They speak without listening. They look without seeing. But when you are fully present with someone, when you give them undivided attention, it feels extraordinary. It feels intimate. It feels irresistible. Presence is one of the most powerful tools of seduction, because presence makes someone feel like they're the only person in the room. The magnetic pull of attention. Every human being craves attention, Not shallow attention, but deep, focused attention. The kind where someone feels that all of you is here, now, with them. When you are truly present, you create a magnetic pull. People lean in. They feel seen, valued, even cherished. It's not about what you say or do, it's about the quality of your attention. And that attention can be more seductive than any words. Presence in body language. Your body communicates presence before your words do. Eye contact. Not a stare, but a steady, warm gaze that says, "I'm here with you." Stillness. Not fidgeting, not rushing, just calm, controlled energy. Open posture. Shoulders relaxed, body oriented toward them, signaling openness. These small signals show that you are not distracted, not split. You are rooted in the moment. And people feel that. They sense it. Presence is not just noticed, it's felt. The seductive power of silence. Presence is not only about words, it's also about silence. Most people are uncomfortable with silence. They rush to fill it. But when you can sit in silence with someone, comfortable, grounded, it creates intimacy. A pause before speaking, a moment of quiet after laughter, an unspoken connection through shared stillness. Silence, when paired with presence, becomes electric. Listening as seduction. True listening is an act of presence, and it is rare. When you listen without distraction, without judgment, without planning your response, you make the other person feel deeply valued. You're not just hearing their words, you're hearing them. And that experience is seductive, because most people never feel truly heard. Energy over words. Presence is not about constant talking or dazzling performance. It's about energy. You could say very little and still be the most magnetic person in the room, simply because your energy is focused, grounded, alive. The opposite of presence is scattered energy. Checking your phone, glancing around the room, half committed. Nothing kills seduction faster than divided attention. But when your energy is centered on the moment, you become unforgettable. Creating a bubble. Presence creates what feels like a bubble around two people. When you're deeply present, the world outside fades, time slows down. That bubble is intoxicating. It makes the other person feel like they've stepped into a private universe where only the two of you exist. And once someone experiences that bubble with you, they'll crave it again and again. The role of mindfulness in presence. To master presence, you must train yourself to be here, now. That means letting go of mental chatter. It means slowing down. It means becoming comfortable with stillness, with focus, with being grounded in the moment. Meditation, breathing exercises, body awareness, all of these strengthen your ability to be present. Because presence is not a trick, it's a state of being. And when you embody it, people feel it immediately. Presence as confidence. Presence communicates confidence. When you are present, you're not worrying about the past or the future. You're not second-guessing yourself. You're not chasing approval. You're rooted. You're calm. You're certain. And that calm certainty is deeply attractive because it makes others feel safe and drawn in at the same time. Practical ways to practice presence. Put distractions away. No phones, no interruptions, just focus. Slow down. Speak a little slower. Move a little calmer. Use your breath. A deep breath anchors you in the moment. Eye contact. Hold it long enough to connect, break it just enough to keep it soft. Listen fully. Hear not just the words, but the emotions underneath. Be comfortable with silence. Don't rush to fill every pause. The lasting impression of presence. Here's what's remarkable. People rarely remember
Chapter 10. The Subtle Language of Touch. Touch is one of the most primal and persuasive tools of seduction. Long before words or gestures, human beings communicate and feel connection through physical contact. But touch is powerful. Misused, it can repel. Used skillfully, it can create intimacy, tension, and desire that words alone cannot achieve. The key is subtlety. Seductive touch is not about force or immediacy. It's about timing, intention, and awareness. The psychology of touch. Humans are wired to respond to touch. It releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone, and triggers feelings of safety, comfort, and closeness. Touch is emotional. It communicates care, interest, and attraction without a single word. When done well, it can deepen a connection instantly. The art of touch lies in understanding its rhythm. Too much too soon, and you overwhelm. Too little, and you miss the opportunity to connect. Types of seductive touch. Light and fleeting touches, a brief brush on the arm, or a gentle touch on the shoulder, or a playful tap. These create a spark without overstepping boundaries. Guiding touches, leading someone by the hand, lightly on the elbow, or a subtle hand on their back. This communicates protection, intention, and interest. Mirrored touches, subtly matching the other person's gestures or movements. Mirroring creates subconscious rapport and makes touch feel natural. Moments of connection, lingering handshakes, warm embraces, or gentle pats. These create warmth and emotional resonance. Each touch carries meaning. The key is awareness, reading the other person's reactions and responding accordingly. Timing and context. Touch without context can feel invasive. Seductive touch requires perfect timing and sensitivity to the environment. In conversation, a light touch on the arm during laughter can amplify connection. When walking together, guiding touches can create subtle intimacy. In quieter moments, a brief, gentle touch on the hand or back can deepen emotional resonance. Always remember, consent is unspoken in the subtleties of touch. Pay attention to comfort, response, and boundaries. The right touch feels natural, effortless, and mutual. The power of anticipation. Seductive touch is most effective when combined with tension and anticipation. Don't rush. A slow build creates longing and desire. A fleeting touch that lingers just slightly longer than expected triggers curiosity. Light contact, followed by a pause, lets the other person anticipate more. The push and pull of touch mirrors the emotional rhythm of seduction. Anticipation makes every contact electric. It keeps the connection alive and the desire growing. Touch as emotional communication. Touch conveys emotion in ways words cannot. It can communicate reassurance when someone is nervous or hesitant. It can amplify excitement and joy in playful moments. It can create intimacy in quiet, shared moments. When paired with presence and emotional awareness, touch becomes a language of its own. Every gesture carries subtle messages that the other person feels intuitively. Subtle signals through touch. Seductive touch doesn't need to be overt. Small, almost imperceptible gestures can have enormous impact. A gentle brush of fingers during conversation. Light contact while laughing or leaning in. A soft touch on the back to guide movement. These gestures signal interest and warmth without breaking boundaries or forcing intimacy. They create a subconscious attraction that words alone cannot generate. The dance of touch.
Think of touch as a dance, a rhythm to complement conversation and presence. Initiate lightly, then wait for the other person to respond. Match their energy and pace. Alternate between light contact and distance to create tension and release. This dance mirrors the broader rhythm of seduction: tension, anticipation, release, and return. Touch becomes an extension of presence, charm, and emotional connection. Practical tips for seductive touch. Start small. Brief, light touches during casual interaction. Read responses. Notice comfort, hesitation, or reciprocity. Be intentional. Every touch should have a subtle purpose. Combine it with eye contact. Presence enhances the effect. Mirror naturally. Matching gestures fosters subconscious rapport.